Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to be back after a long hiatus. It's been a long time since I've been on YouTube, doing the YouTube. So hopefully I'll do it justice today. When you come in, please smash the like button and subscribe if you can, and share it with your friends. So today, I'm just going to get right into it. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. But today, I think the first topic of discussion I want to deal with, I want to say in this first series of what I'm going to be doing going forward, I'm going to be dealing mostly with economic situations, but then also too as well, I'm going to deal with cryptocurrency. I want to deal with definitely our banking system and our financial system to see where we're going in the future. Do my research, make sure I bring you guys as accurate information as possible, and to try to help you prepare. I think we're at a very crucial time right now, especially in 2024 going forward. I think this is going to be a crucial time. We have a big election coming up in November. We have a lot going on right now worldwide. We have two wars, Ukraine, Russia. We also have Israel, Hamas. And then China has always expressed its plans and wishes to unite Taiwan with China. I think they call it a peaceful unification, but in that situation, I don't know how peaceful that would be. But they pretty much all but said this is something that they're going to do, and that's very concerning. We're not going to deal with that tonight, but what we're going to deal with is I want to deal, first and foremost, first thing I want to talk about tonight is banks. Now, all of us know what banks are pretty much, for the most part, as far as the bare meaning of a bank and what they're designed to do. What I want to talk about from a banking standpoint is, are banks in trouble? Now, I don't want to say we're at a point to where we were in 2008 during the Great Recession. You had subprime lending. You had a lot of mortgage on the books that were not good mortgages. They were bad debt. And you had those bad debt mortgages, subprime mortgages, wrapped up in credit default swaps. And so when that failed and when that caved in, it caused a big catastrophe, a catastrophic situation. You had many businesses fail, from Lehman Brothers to Bear Stearns to Wachovia had to be bought out. It just caused a huge contagion across the board, which almost collapsed the economy, not just in America, but worldwide. And so some things had to happen behind the scenes in order to bring us out of that. Some economists believe that we probably should have let some more things fail as far as banks and businesses and not bail them out. And that's why we're kind of in the situation we're in now. But I guess something had to be done to try to rectify the situation to protect us as much as possible going forward. Now, where we're at today, Jerome Powell had mentioned, I believe it was in his speech in March, that this year we can expect to see a lot of regional banks fail. And I think a big part for those regional banks failing is because of the commercial real estate they have on the books. Now, as you guys remember, during COVID, we had a situation where people were working from home. People were leaving the office. And I think businesses found out that people were more productive working from home. And so people began to work from home, not going into the offices. So what ended up happening is that these companies that had these office spaces or this commercial real estate, they stopped paying the rent. They stopped paying what they owe. And we're in a situation now where this commercial real estate is just sitting on the books without no one paying for it. So what's happening is there's a lot of commercial real estate that's going into default. Now, this could really be a combustible situation. If you get to a point where you have this commercial real estate sitting on the books, and as you know, banks don't do well with just a lot of real property sitting on the books. That's not their business, really. They deal with it as far as from a lending standpoint, but just having commercial real estate or real property sitting on the books, that's really not good for a bank. So we're at the point now where we have commercial real estate that's sitting on the books and people are defaulting on their loans. Now, if you have a situation where this is a built up situation in one particular bank or another, then this could spell trouble for a bank. A bank could be end up being insolvent in the situation if it's too much, if they have too much commercial real estate on the books. Now, we had a situation last year with Sam Bankman-Fried, as you know, the leader of FTX, to where and he's doing prison time right now, but him and his team, they were doing some things that were criminal in nature. And they were doing some things as far as what they were doing behind the scenes. They were fraudulently making transactions, fraudulently handling people's money the wrong way, and fraudulently establishing a FTX business that was pretty much just a a fugazi business, so to speak. I don't even know how to mention it. It's just was so unbelievable what they did. But so you had a situation where that happened. And so the reason I bring them up is because we had Signature Bank fail and we had Silicon Valley Bank fail because of that. And that was part of the contagion with FTX because of its relationship with digital assets. Okay. So that situation maybe was a little bit different, of course, from what we're dealing with the commercial real estate banks that could be in trouble. Now we're looking at the banks that failed, I would say, in the past year. So again, you had your Silicon Valley Bank, you had Signature Bank, you had First Republic Bank. There was another bank in Elkhart, Kansas, by the name of Heartland Tri-State Bank. You had Citizens Bank in Sac City, Iowa Trust and Savings Bank. That happened November 3rd, 2023. And then this year, in April, you had Republic First Bank fail. So that's Republic First Bank. That's the first bank that's failed this year. Now, what we're going to see this year of how many banks that are going to fail that are FDIC insured. FDIC insurance means that the bank is going to cover approximately $250,000 as far as deposits are concerned. Now, anything outside of that $250,000, the bank is not, or FDIC is not responsible for. So if it's outside of that $250,000 mark, then it's not FDIC insured. Now, there are certain things that you can do if you have more money than that. I think there are other things that you can do to protect your assets. But from an FDIC insurance standpoint, if there's anything out of $250,000, they are not responsible for that. So if you have a bank that has a lot of money that's outside of that $250,000 limit, I mean, just think about it. If you have most of its deposits, let's say 60% or more, that's above that $250,000 limit or that exceeds it, then that means that anything above that is not covered. That's a big problem if most of your assets are above $250,000. So that could be a problem. Now, I don't think we're at a catastrophic place right now with the banks, but it's something to keep an eye on, because if it begins to unravel and we start to see a kind of domino effect of a lot of banks failing, kind of like in a cluster, let's say 2 a month or 3 a month, then that could be a problem. And something to keep an eye on, because I think this year, and this is what I'm going to get into with this series, we've got to keep an eye on our monetary system. What concerns me about our monetary system right now is, first of all, the biggest thing that concerns me outside of inflation. Let's go ahead and talk about inflation first while we're here. Inflation is a problem right now. We have got to get control of that in order for our economy to be strong in the future. We've got to get control of this inflation issue. And it seems to be something they cannot get control of at this time. So basically, think about it, guys. In the year 2000, and it doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but I guess it is. I mean, it's 24 years ago. But in the year 2000, so what you would have paid for in the year 2000, let's say $1,000, what would have cost you $1,000 in the year 2000 would cost you $1,800 today. Let me repeat that again. What would have cost you $1,000 in the year 2000 will cost you $1,820 today. That is a huge increase, guys, as far as the purchasing power that we have for our money. So that is a cumulative price increase of 82.08%. Now, let me say that again. That is a price increase of 82.08%. Could you imagine if they don't get control of this inflation issue, where that number can go within the next quarter, within the next 6 months, within the next year? This is something that they have to get under control. And this definitely concerns me. So $1 today would only buy you 54.9% of what it would have bought you back then. That is a big loss in our purchasing power. We got to get control of that. So that concerns me. Another thing that concerns me is this BRICS situation. BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. But as we know, if you've been paying attention in the news, more countries have been at it. Now, what they're looking to do, let me just put this out here just in case you don't know. What these countries are looking to do is to get away from the US dollar. If you didn't know, the US dollar is the world reserve currency, which is a very powerful thing. When you're the world reserve currency, that means that you are the financial power. You are the financial platform that everybody uses as the barometer. And we are the world reserve currency. Now, let's say these countries get away from that. Now, if you don't know, the likes of China and Russia are leaving the US dollar. And from what I understand, in droves. And so if you have these countries getting away from the US dollar, and there are several countries who have joined BRICS now. It's not just Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. There are several other countries that's been added, but I'm not here to talk about BRICS. We'll deal with that in another video. But if these countries get away from the US dollar and we're no longer the world reserve currency, that means that our dollar no longer has the power that it used to. Now, where does that leave us? There's a lot of situations that can happen because of that. And so we'll get into that later. But those things concern me right there. The banking situation is one thing. As far as the commercial real estate that's on the books, and hopefully they'll get a handle on that and have a solution just in case it gets to a point. Hopefully we don't get like Greece. If you don't know what happened in Greece, you need to look it up. Hopefully we don't get to the point to where in the future, because of our monetary system, we only could get a certain amount of money out the bank because it's just not there, or we're just in a catastrophic situation. And maybe I'll talk about that one day on another video too, as far as what happened in Greece with their monetary system. Hopefully we don't get to that point, but it's just something to think about. So I don't think we're at a point to where we're in trouble like we were in 2008 right now as far as with our banking system, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on with this commercial real estate. How do we prepare for this? How do we prepare for a situation where inflation is just out of control? What can we do as citizens of this great nation to prepare ourselves for a catastrophic event financially? Well, I think just a couple of basic things we can do is we got to cut down on spending. We have to watch our spending and cut down on it until we can see some clearance from the type of things that are going on right now. Another thing we can do is establish an emergency fund. Keep an emergency fund together. As far as how many months that needs to be, I don't know. You have to look at your situation. You have to sit down with your family and determine, what do we need for an emergency fund? Do we need 6 months? Do we need a year? You have to determine your financial situation, but you need an emergency fund. So we got to cut spending. You got to establish an emergency fund. Got to make sure you're investing. I can't say that enough. You should know something about investing right now. If your company has a 401k plan, you should be at least contributing the maximum of what they will match. So if your company matches dollar for dollar up to 6%, then you should be contributing at least 6% of your pay each paycheck. You should have a 6% deferral each time if your company matches dollar for dollar, whatever it may be. It may not be 6%. It may be 5% or 3%. Whatever it is, you should be matching, or you should be deferring at least that. And so if you're not deferring that, then you're leaving free money on the table. So you need to be investing. You need to be saving. And you need to be cutting spending. And more importantly, or most important above anything else, you need to stay aware, and you need to pay attention to what's going on right now. I think we're at a very serious time right now, and I think we need to pay attention. It's great to have fun. It's great to spend time with your family, do things with your family. It's good to have fun and to get away from things and not take yourself too seriously all the time. But at the same time, we have to be aware, and we have to pay attention to what's going on, because I think we're at a very serious time right now, and you don't want your family to end up in a situation where you're not prepared. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to another video with you soon.